Is it rolling? This is going to be a good one. This is the truth about how I built a £3 million property portfolio. Let's go. Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name is Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a property investor. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you the truth about how I built a £3 million property portfolio. And I'm going to tell you about what I think it takes to do that. And I'm going to give you some of my rules, some of my financial rules that I believe have really been fundamental to my success. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to change the framing slightly and I'm going to bring it in a little bit. So hopefully you can see the board a bit better. Let's do that. So we've got, guys, the expert eye from Tom here, and hopefully this frame is now really good. But guys, what I wanted to do was really go through all the sort of time scale and how I built the portfolio, because I think that's interesting, but I also think the mindset and all the attributes that went behind it are also interesting. So I want to really touch on those first, as well as my financial rules, and just explain how I run my finances, because I think that really is probably key. So guys, if you like this level of transparency, if you like this sort of stuff, please give this video a big like. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And remember, if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. On this channel, we don't sell a course, we don't try and upsell anything. We're just trying to bring all the information to everybody so that you can make better financial decisions based on your requirements, right? At the end of the day, this is just one perspective. You can take all this information and make better decisions for your life, bearing in mind all sorts of different perspectives. So let's start this video with all the attributes that I believe really went into making my portfolio large and went into building my wealth over time. And the first three things all link together. This is consistency, patience, and time. I think really being consistent with what you're doing, even when the gains are small. So for example, if you go to the gym today, you get buff, right? No, you have to go a lot and you have to be consistent to put on muscle. You have to be consistently good with your diet to lose weight, as I am currently failing with. And you have to have patience to allow that process to take place, because it's going to take time. And I think this is my first line up here: consistency, patience, and time. Understand the process, believe in the maths, and make sure you've got a good plan, but then be consistent, be patient, and give it time. Because it took me a long time to go from property 1 to property 2. It took me 5 years of capital appreciation, of renting out the spare bedrooms, of all the things that I did in between, of investing in index funds and HL and all the other stuff, to be able to raise enough capital to get property number 2. So on this channel, we're very much focusing over what we can do to guarantee ourselves success. We're not talking about building a property business, becoming a source, or any of these things. We're talking about investing and purely being an investor. Now, the second line I've got on here is being responsible, investor mindset, and an opportunity taker. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, I was fiscally responsible all the way through this process. That doesn't mean I denied myself everything. Absolutely not. I was looking back on Facebook at stuff I was doing in 2012, and we used to have date night and we go to the cinema, but that was only 25 quid, you know? And we might do that once a week or once every 2 weeks. So we were able to keep our expenses fairly low. At the same time, we were earning as much as possible, myself and my wife. So with that in mind, I believe we were fiscally responsible. We were renting out the spare bedrooms in our house, and it would have been easy not to. We rented those out, and that covered all our mortgage payments. And essentially, we were able to save around £2,500 a month because we were fiscally responsible. The next thing was we had an investor mindset. So that £2,500 that we had, we didn't just sit it and do nothing with it. We invested it in the markets. We used index funds to keep that money working for us until we had enough capital to buy the next property. And then once we had enough money to buy the next property, I was an opportunity taker. I looked at what were the best deals. We bought in Didcot for 400,000 in 2015, a large 4-bedroom house just outside in Harwell. And that was for us to move into, interestingly, because we were only putting down a smaller deposit. But what's important to know is the opportunity with that was it was a new build. They were going to pay our stamp duty, and they were selling new builds in Didcot as a bit of an anomaly. It was cheaper than buying the equivalent house second-hand with all the seller incentives. So we actually saw that as an opportunity, and actually looking back, it was a massive opportunity. That's not the case in Didcot anymore. Today you pay a premium for a new build. So back then you didn't. You had a discount for a new build, which for me didn't really make sense. So we saw that as an opportunity. We bought in a lovely village. We bought it for 400,000. Let's fast forward to 2021, 6 years. It's now worth 550. We made 150 grand on that. But we were opportunity takers. We were able to then refinance this property, which paid for our next ones. Again, taking the opportunity that was given to us because that property had gone up in value. So fiscally responsible, investor mindset, and opportunity taker. When we refinanced, we were responsible with it. We didn't spend the money on holidays. And that comes into my financial rules in a minute, which I'll go through. But we were very responsible and took opportunities as they came through. Now, my last line is risk mitigation and financial rules. Now, I'm an entrepreneur and a property investor, and my entrepreneur side of my life carries a much greater deal of risk. My property side, I like to make sure my risk is completely minimized as much as I possibly can. So if we were looking at this property here, for example, I was able to get a developer discount because they were trying to sell them quicker, and I believed I was actually getting a discount on market value, and that meant that I had baked in some money before I even started. In 2010, we made sure that when we bought that property, we were renting out the spare bedrooms, which meant that we were going to live there mortgage free. There was no risk. So risk mitigation for me all the way through this has been key. Even today, I'm buying in a red hot market where deals and getting discounts, BMV, is incredibly difficult, if not impossible. Even today, we're doing risk mitigation strategies by looking for opportunities. So we bought a 2-bedroom flat in a town where we paid £160,000 for the flat in a good location, where a house just around the corner would be £250,000. I believe that's a misprice. Equally, we bought a property in Kettering where we paid £155,000 for it, and I think the market value, once done up, is about £185,000, and it's going to cost us, I don't know, £20,000 to do. So we're talking about a £10,000 profit in there baked in to give me some risk mitigation. And this comes into some of my financial rules. And really what I like to do when I'm spending my money and increasing my lifestyle, and anybody who has watched this channel for a while will know that I moved out of my big house over near Henley because it was costing me £8,000 a month. And what happened was, essentially during COVID, my income took a hit and I was no longer paying for my lifestyle out of my passive income. And for me, that's one of my #1 rules. So let me get a pen and I'll write down my personal financial rules. So my rules are pretty simple, okay? I only really have a few. The first one is that I believe that my lifestyle should be less or equal to my passive income. Now, I appreciate when you first start, that's almost impossible. But if you look at my first property, when we bought that, our lifestyle became less or equal to our passive income. The mortgage on it was £600 a month, the bills were about £400 a month, and we rented out the 2 spare bedrooms for £1,000 a month. So on that one move, our lifestyle, discounting food and living costs and everything else, and I do accept that, you know, that does come into it, but we got very close to our lifestyle being equal to or greater than, equal to or less than our passive income. My second rule is debt's okay. Debt is absolutely okay, but only if it's less than or equal to 10% at the moment. And for me, that's because index funds return approximately 10% over a period of time. And debt would be better off being paid off if it was a greater rate than 10%. So you won't find me having a credit card at 30%. I'll pay that off. But you will find that I've got a loan at 6.6% for my car, because that makes sense. I can't make more than 6.6%, so it's absolutely fine for me to have that debt. I finance liability, so for example, this is quite a well-known thing, my cars, even my beds, I will finance the lot. And quite often you get 0% APR, our sofas, 0% APR, beds, dreams, 0% APR. We finance all of these sort of things. So again, it comes back to debt's okay, that's less than or equal to 10%. Beds, why would I pay £3,000 for a bed when I can finance that liability? And it's at 0%, which meets that rule. And then my last rule is really key. It's to enjoy the process. So, if I got to a point where I felt that the level of investment I was doing, although had me on the right trajectory, but it meant that I wasn't enjoying the process, I'd pull back. Equally, if I would pull back and I wasn't happy with that level of progress, I would extend and I would work harder. So for me, enjoying the process is absolutely key, because I think by enjoying the process, you will be able to be more consistent. You will be able to practice patience, and you'll allow the passage of time. You'll be more responsible, you'll have an investor mindset, and you will take opportunities because you're enjoying the process. You don't view things as too risky because you're putting risk mitigation into place. So for me, enjoying the process is absolutely key. So guys, that's a little bit about my rules. The other thing to just go through is some of my investment properties. And I was thinking, we've got 13, but ultimately I was just running through a few chronologically and looking at just how great they've been over that period of time. So 2010, I bought for 176, today it's worth 450, £275,000 profit. Take that on top though, we've rented it out for over £1,000 a month for that 10 years. You're looking at another 100 grand plus in there. 2015, that's now 150 grand profit. That's now 6-bedroom HMO, currently rented out at £3,800 a month with a profit of just under £2,000 a month. 2017, 351,000, now worth 450. Again, £100,000 profit in that. That's rented out. And all of this, just so you know, has all been refinanced out to a point. My total portfolio probably sits, well, I know it sits about 62% LTV at present. And that's just because some of them have been refinanced more recently, some of them a little bit less recently, some are due right now, but ultimately the market's moved in my favor and that has paid the finance down. In a percentage basis. Now 2017 as well, we bought one for 90, it's now worth 140, that's over in Sheffield, that's a 50k profit. We've got 2018, 135,000, that's 185, that's in Kettering, that's a 50k profit. So you can see where I'm going with this. This is just the capital side, and this is because I've been consistent, I've practiced patience, and I've allowed time to pass. The rents on top of this have been phenomenal, and I'll do another video about all the rents and how much I've made in rents over the years. It must be a huge number. But guys, that's my journey. That's the truth about how I've built a £3 million property portfolio. It all comes down to these rules, and by practicing those, that's been the outcome. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy this level of transparency, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.